Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the fourth edition, I think, of Keane Talks United. This is obviously a big game for Manchester United this week at Old Trafford against Chelsea on Saturday. So no two better men to come on to talk about this game. So to the right of me, I am joined by Brian Murphy from the Simply Red podcast and also by my good friend Sean Moroney, Chelsea fan, and also weekly armchair alumni as well. So it's good to see two lads here who I've spent podcasts with on the past, and also as well two good football lads as well. So it's good to see. And first of all, Brian, it's been a while, man, since the summer when we had a lot of positive thoughts about Man United coming into the season. How are you keeping since the start of the season, man?
So hoping someone's got a Xanax to get me through the next few weeks, because it's after going from that kind of childish positivity coming towards Christmas night, and then you wake up Christmas morning, get a block of coal for Christmas off Santa Claus. So it's been an absolutely devastating start to the season after a little bit of positivity during the summer. It's like a repeat. It's like watching Friends on repeat. You've seen it all before. Same shit as last season. Nothing's changed. Load of bollocks.
Yeah, it's it went from us to talking about high hopes and all this crack, and it's kind of gone to what do they say? Status quo is kind of what it's gone to right now. But yeah, like look, it hasn't been good. There was early signs at the start, but same shit, different day, I suppose. Sean, last time I was on a podcast with you was October last year, and there was question marks around Maresca. But since then, there's been two trophies. Obviously, Cole Palmer had a brilliant performance in the Club World Cup, and then obviously also got banged in goals against Bayern Munich in Champions League last night. Obviously, there's like positivity around the Chelsea side of things, like let's say from the fan base, but the media would tell you otherwise. How's your feeling around Chelsea since we were last on a show together?
I can't complain. Like I obviously from the start, fan of Maresca. I just didn't have anything to back it up. Obviously, from the Championship, a lot of what people were saying about him being not been proven enough, and that I couldn't really have anything to back it up. Obviously, the two trophies now last year, whatever about the Conference League, we're expected to win that. Club World Cup, the way he performed against PSG, and that's something that you can just put behind him, and he can have on his CV, I suppose, and the Chelsea fans like talking the way some of them do. It's just a thing with the Chelsea fan base. I think with that type of football, you see years ago, and we had Sarri as well, and they just don't take that kind of football. I think it's a big thing in England, really. The culture. I think culture fits are important matters. Like United, like obviously since Fergie was there, you've always been fast and dynamic and had like played with wingers. Is like what I'll always remember United by. Same another issue I've seen like Graham Potter with West Ham. I think West Ham have always been a tough, hard hitting team that are very direct. They brought in a manager in Potter who wants to play good football and just doesn't think it fits. So I think that's how some of the Chelsea fan base reacts towards Maresca. Don't think it's actually personal towards him. It's that type of football playing around the back, and that's what they don't like and just won't adjust to. So I think a lot of the stick you're going to see online from Chelsea fans is just down to that. And no, I do like that football, like the football that we are playing. I think it's good. I think we've only lost 4 times in the last 36 games. I think it's a big turnaround since Clearlake have come in. Obviously, the first 2 years were an absolute disaster, and we were all over the place. So I think it's good that he's brought a bit of consistency into the club. I think he's brought us back into being a stable environment. It's not an environment that we can be taking, like people can be taking the piss every weekend, like the pundits and that, like they rightfully did. Every weekend when you're turning on the TV, losing games, I think he's turned that around, and he's brought a bit of stability back to the club. So I'm happy enough with that for now. Think I'm in the boat that I'm happy with him for now to keep going how he's going, see where he can get us to, and then once it gets to the point where we should be winning a league title, if he's not doing it, then we can move on. But I think he's kind of that bridge in between. He was very important, and he will be very important going forward, I think, until we get to that stage.
He done well to get you back in the Champions League. Especially there was that kind of period before the end of the season where there was a couple of games where he did drop points, and then he managed to turn it on towards the end of the season then, and he overtook Forest then at the end to get top 4 there as well. So
yeah,
he's done well from the initial start.
Yeah. I think most of the reason, like my confidence this season and why I do rate our squad now is because of those last 10 games. like it wasn't actually down to us playing brilliant football and blowing things off the park. It actually showed for the first time honestly they wanted us to go really that the squad matured a bit and they had a bit of fight in them. They could grind out 1-0 results. I think that's it was a very good trait to pick up, and I think the Club World Cup added to that. So that's where I'm kind of getting my confidence from this year of again pushing the two above us. Well, the City are there as well. The three above us closer and getting a good run in the Champions League and hopefully winning a domestic trophy. But yeah, I'm confident for now in the group and that. But yeah, we'll see how it goes this season. And it's a usual banana skin now this weekend. No matter how bad United are performing, I think we always find it tricky.
Yeah, since the 2012-13 season, Chelsea haven't won at Old Trafford. It's actually mad to think, Brian, isn't it? Like, considering all like the bad seasons we've had, the turnover of managers and stuff like that, like we still have a good record at home against Chelsea, considering a lot of them seasons, Chelsea probably won a couple of league titles as well on the way.
Yeah, I suppose, look, it's one of those fixtures that we always get up for regardless, even when we're down the doldrums and we're not playing our best. We always seem to have a good old battle with Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea away is one of my favourite games to go to. Love going to Stamford Bridge, love the atmosphere there when we play them. It's always fairly boisterous. And yeah, like I know we haven't lost, I haven't got beaten at home in a couple of years, but my confidence this Saturday, as much as I usually get optimistically or delusionally optimistic the closer we get to kick off, I think walking away from the Etihad last Sunday absolutely kicked me in the teeth. I was fairly low leaving and heading back home. So my spirits aren't great at the minute, as you can probably tell. I'm not the most buoyant, but maybe, just maybe, if we can turn up and get the season kick-started on the weekend, things will improve. But at the minute, it's hard. It's hard to see. I mean, look, Chelsea are a very good side at the moment. They're after turning things around quite a lot. They're far further along their journey than we are, and they're probably at that stage where we're looking to get to, where they're kind of in that transition of getting back amongst the top, kind of getting them amongst the top 6, top 8, challenging to get back into like the top 4, staying in the top 4. Trying to kind of just that little kind of nitty gritty. Are we still a top 4 side? Can we push on a little bit more? Will they kind of plateau a little bit and kind of float around the 4, 5, 6 spots? But no, look, I'd swap places with Chelsea in a heartbeat the way they are at the minute. They're after coming off winning the Club World Cup. You can't knock that. They've got a good squad. They've got probably 786 players to pick from. We don't have that joy, unfortunately, but they're they're playing quite well in fairness, and they're getting goals. Joe Pedro's been a very good signing from. No, it's going to be a very, very tough game for us. I've no illusions about it. And as unlike me as it is to say, because I usually go, yeah, we'll win every single game. I think if we get away with a draw or just avoid defeat, a win or a draw the weekend would be a good platform to get the season back on track. Because at the minute, the train's off the tracks and things are fucking steamrolling. So let's just hope we can get some bit of consistency and some bit of a performance in.
You mentioned the Etihad last Sunday, so look, I'm sorry to have to bring it up, but I suppose we kind of have to talk about that game, unfortunately. Obviously lost 3-0. I delusionally last week predicted a 3-2 win to Man United. Don't ask me what hallucinations I was having. Maybe it was my medication or something talking to me that United were going to win 3-2 at home. I think I was re-envisioning Pogba's 2 goals at the Etihad like back in 2018. I think that's where my imagination was. But obviously, Brian, we got bet 3-0. And yeah, like, look, I think if I knocked a lot of us for 6 in terms of our competitiveness in the league, and in terms of like where we are, but like, I suppose Ruben Amorim, if you isolate not just the start of the season, but since November, we're talking just simply a results business here. What do you think about his future as Man United manager? Because there's been a lot of talk about his inability, I suppose, to adapt in certain games. His in-game management has been criticised. His body language on the sidelines been criticised quite a bit too. And obviously, a lot of traits of Man United manager would be obviously bravery, attacking football, like Sean said a few minutes ago, flying wingers, being direct. We're not seeing any of that, and also we're not getting the results. So, like, where's your head at with Ruben Amorim at the minute?
He's in a dangerous position at the minute because he's too headstrong to change. And as much as there was a big ethos on the manager needs to stick to his system and stick to his plan and regardless, die on the sword and all that, that's exactly what is going to happen. He's going to die on that sword if he keeps going the way he's going, because stubbornness and refusal to change your system and the inflexibility of sticking with that, it's going to cost him big time. I was saying to the lads the other night on our own podcast, you have to start winning football matches. I mean, football's a results game, as you just said. You have to start winning. First and foremost, win football matches. I don't care how you win them. Don't care how shit it is to watch. I don't care what you have to do. When you're in a position like we're in, and we're in a precarious position for the last 12 months or so, you need to start getting points on the board. You need to start getting wins. And like start building a bit of morale back again, putting 3 points on the board, getting victories. Do it dirty if you have to. Fuck this system of, we're playing this fancy 3 at the back, 2 in midfield, fucking inverted this and a lot of bollocks. Just get 3 points, get back on track, start getting a bit of cohesion amongst the side again, and play at what you have. I mean, look, I don't think our two wing backs are wing backs. If you're looking at Dallo and Patrick Dorgu as our wing backs, I don't think they're strong enough. So to play the system he wants, you have to have an incredibly strong fullback side, both sides. Dorgu, most touches in the opposition box last weekend with 12 of both sides. Now, the 12 touches he had in the box didn't do a whole pile with it. I'm not bashing him by any means. He's a brilliant footballer in the desire department, the effort levels, what he gives you. Defensively, he's pretty strong. He's good getting forward, but the final ball isn't there. I mean, you need someone in that position if they're going to be that key to the system and they're going to get that much freedom and attacking ability against the opposition. They have to be able to do something with it. You have to have a final product. Same with Dallo. Dallo's a bag of shit when he goes forward. He's not exactly brilliant at the back either, but he's an absolute bag of shit going forward. So, like, if you're going to get him and Dorgu going forward, offering you very little, your creativity's gone down. So then you've got Benjamin Sesko in the middle, who's going to be craving supply. We've already seen Rasmus Højlund fall in that sword where he's not getting supply in. When he was either too cold, lack of confidence, head was gone, wasn't working for him. Problem again in the midfield with playing a midfield 2. Premier League doesn't allow that these days. You're playing against midfield 3s, they'll pass around you in triangles, they're gone past you in seconds and you're fucked. Unless you've got like a Xavi Iniesta midfield 2, you're in serious trouble, and we have got nothing like that. So again, he's in trouble in the midfield. We've got one striker up front who's young and unproven in the league. We've got no backup striker. You don't have that elder statesman to come in and take the onus off him a little bit, or if he's injured or change things up a bit, we're falling back to a false nine with Matthias Cunha. Another thing I can't stand, another Pep Guardiola bullshit, it is false nine nonsense, can't stand it. So there's a lot of issues with the team, even though there's a lot of money being put into it. Now, I don't get me wrong, we've brought in some good players. Cunha looks class, and Mbeumo looks very good. Lamens is he's unproven yet, obviously, but he looks like he's got great potential as a keeper. Made a couple of astute signings. Mason Mount was looking good again, coming back into fitness, but Mason Mount's about as dependable as Irish weather. It will start pissing rain in the next 24 hours. Mason Mount will be injured within 4 games. It's just like night follows day, which is unfortunate for him, because when he was at Chelsea, he was really, really good. I really liked him when he was at Chelsea. Like, he was their star boy for quite a while. So he's been an awful signing. Unlucky for him, obviously, injury-wise, but obviously unlucky for us, giving 55 or 60 million for a lad with 12 months in his contract that we didn't particularly need. So we're top-heavy on the attacking midfielder side. We're weak in the central midfield. And we've got a manager who's putting his head in his hands watching penalties. He's trying to explain to me that he's suffering more than I am when I'm leaving Manchester Airport Terminal 3 in the depths of depression after drinking about 14 pints, eyeballing KFC, walking past it going, you can fuck off as well. And I've got to hop onto a plane and I've got to go back to work Monday morning on the normal Joe Soap wages. That hairy fucker with his handsome Portuguese head is making his 100 or 200,000 a week. I can guarantee you, Ruben Amorim, if you're watching Keane Talks United, you are not suffering a percent as much as I am, or any one of us are. So these are the things that are catching him. These comments, he's over honesty in the media. I leave, I don't want to pay out, or I'm ready to go, or if you're going to change this, you're going to change the manager. Shut the fuck up, Ruben, for the love of God. Shut up, like. No top managers coming out, playing themselves down and being such a little whinge bag and being so defeatist and so, like, introverted. Grow up here and just come out fighting. Like, show us something. It's like the team against City last week. We never laid a glove on City last week. No yellow card for either side. A Manchester derby with no yellow card. That's unfathomable. There wasn't one lad that left a stud on someone. There wasn't one dirty tackle. There wasn't one dig of an elbow. But the manager's the same. It's coming from the top. The manager's not leaving an elbow on anybody. The manager's not giving digs. He's just going around saying, oh, I won't change. They'll have to change me and I'll leave and won't take any money. Fuck that. Just, if he wants to keep his job and he wants to progress, he's going to have to change things really, really quickly. And I'll always refer back to, I was on a podcast with Andy Mitten year before last talking about Eric Ten Hag, and it's always stuck in my mind and I refer to it quite a lot. He says, when you lose the moderates, you're in trouble. The casuals are the moderates. And that can happen in 5 games. In any 5-game turn, you lose 5 games in a row, fans will turn against you. And once you lose the casuals, hard to get them back. The whole thing changes. Next thing, the hardcore will go against you and you're fucked. He needs to turn it around big time. And it has to start on Saturday because we're in trouble. And so is he.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Julio's just joined us there for a few minutes here as well. He's sitting in his car. And Julio, how's things?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Living the dream, mate. Living the dream.
Good to see you,
Yeah,
Julio.
that's
How are you
good,
keeping,
man.
buddy?
Good. I'm so good to be a United fan right now. So good to be a
Yeah,
United fan right now.
Yeah.
I had
It's just
a full head of hair at the start of the season. Look,
I'm not that far away, to be honest, Brian. I might catch you up in a bit.
yeah, I think
so
I might be
a
bald
race.
as well by the end of the season as well. My hair, I'm losing hair and seeing a few grey ones as well. I'm just about getting there. May as well just go fucking buzz cut. I think that's the next thing for me here. But yeah, like look, Brian, I agree. I think the lack of passion, I think, from the manager at times is worrying. I think his contradictory statements and press conferences is getting worrying as well. And like, not just like starting 11s and formations, and people can talk about that till the cows come home, but like, not noticing when to make a sub in a game for me is very alarming. Like you said, when there's teams overloading us in midfield, like even if Easton wants to stay at 3 at the back, go 3-5-2, put the extra man in midfield, put Bruno to a number 10 role, bring on Kobbie Mainoo. All of a sudden, you don't get overloaded in midfield. You have your two boys, let's say Cunha and Bremo up front, let's say, and then all of a sudden it's more balanced. Do you know what I mean? There's a bit more balance, there's more defensive solidity there. I agree, John, the wing backs as well. I think, like, if you look at Chelsea's full backs, because we're playing on the weekend and Sean is here, if we had, let's say, James and Cucurella as our wing backs, Sesko would be feeding on balls every week. He really would. So it's one of them, like.
You're right, and Sean, I'm sure, will back this up. Sean wouldn't swap his two wing backs for our two wing backs. I mean, Cucurella and Reece James, they're fantastic going forward. They offer a massive threat. Cucurella is really, really good going forward, and he can cause havoc up front. Whereas if you compare it to Dorgu and Dalot, it's like the average version of both of theirs. Like Dorgu's not taking Cucurella's spot in Chelsea team, and Dalot isn't getting on the bench for Chelsea. That's the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like Keane, like I don't know if you're going to ask me about Amorim. I think it's going to be a bit unfair because, like, you probably know when he was coming into, he was linked with us beforehand when we got the rest of the time. And even though I did like him at Lisbon, I just had criticisms of him coming to the Prem, just his football and the way he was setting up. Because I watched a good bit of him there, and I just think a lot of what I thought at the time is like the issues he has now, just around the midfield and that, like you said, and it's not just him. Like Brian was touched on there, I agree with completely. It's just the wing backs. We had when we were really good under Tuchel, we won the Champions League. Like the year later, what absolutely destroyed Chelsea was the wing backs. So when James got injured, we had Loftus Cheek and we had Marcus Alonso playing there most games, but we were kind of changed on the left hand side. But once you had wing backs that didn't offer a lot of threat and didn't have much pace going forward, or were good in the final third, like to treat the back system, I think just like a catapult. Like a lot of your threat comes from those wing backs, and you need them to cause a lot of damage. And when I looked at the United squad and I seen that they didn't have those there, I just thought that was going to be a big issue for him. Like, but I just tell it from a mile off. And like Brian said, the two that you have there, I know Dorgu wasn't there when he came in first. I think he was brought in at the end of January after Amorim came in. Like, but that was just one part you can pinpoint from it. Now I think you have definitely improved the squad over the summer, like Brian said, with Mbuemo and Cunha. I didn't think you would be getting those two players over the summer. That's a massive improvement. And I've been saying to the guys, if Amorim does eventually leave, I think the squad is definitely left in a much better place than before he came in. So I think Ineos have done well on that end. But I just think he's been killed with the fullbacks as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think I think the personnel there, I think Mazraoui is all right, but like he's probably better as a centre back in a tree, like a right side of centre back in a tree. And then, you know, like Dorgu, again, I think he's very raw. And then Luke Shaw, like Brian mentioned the thing earlier about not being able to depend on Mason Mount. I think Luke Shaw is even worse in terms of availability.
Yeah.
There as well.
Shaw's a funny one though, because like from watching him, like I do think he's actually a very good player. Obviously he's not reliable, but from over the years, like when he had his good spells and that, he's weird. He's one of those players I think he's better from deep. Do you know when you're playing like a four at the back and you have him as a left foot, coming from deeper, I think he's actually very good. But when I've seen him playing as like a wing back further forward and receiving it further forward, I didn't think he was as dangerous in the final third that way. It's there's a few players I've seen that are like that, and it's unusual. I think. Like I think he's actually good as the left centre back in the three as well, but it's just a weird thing. I think it happens to some players, but I do actually think he is a quality player. It's just unfortunate with the injuries again. Like I said, up Mount, like Brian was touching on there, it's something that I wouldn't. I hate like basically whatever people call it banter or they make it. Like, I don't like doing it. It's different if he was playing every game and he was stinking the pitch up. I'd be roasting him every week, obviously after leaving us. But when it comes down to injuries, I don't like labeling him as that. Like it's a bit unfair on them, I think. But yeah, hopefully, like just because I either touched on Mount earlier on, hopefully, not performance wise, but hopefully he can start putting the injuries behind him and getting back out into the pitch again. Obviously, I don't want him to be performing well with United, but yeah, hopefully he can put the injuries behind him and get back out into the pitch and start playing football.
I think that's very honourable of you, Sean, to mention not wishing injuries on Mason Mount and that, because I hope that the shit Shirley Carter gets cut in two the weekend.
Oh, oh, Shirley
I'd
Carter.
say most do,
For
but I
fuck's
suppose
sake.
it's a little bit different. Yeah, I suppose it's a little bit different with how the both players kind of acted when they were leaving. Mount was just quite. I think he was fairly respectable, like. But yeah, I get what I found with Garnacho and same with Sancho. I thought Sancho treated the club like dirt as well before he left. So I get the animosity towards those two. I can see why.
I was actually talking. Sorry, I was talking to a Chelsea fan, a good mate of mine this morning about Garnacho, and we were obviously having a bit of crack over him back. But I still think Chelsea was the wrong move for him because taking my animosity towards his departure from the club and what way he left and the disrespect he showed the club out of it, I still think he should have gone to Spain. I don't understand why he's chosen to go to Chelsea because from the outside on paper, I don't see him starting for Chelsea. I really don't. Like I see him coming off the bench, being a squad member as opposed to a starting 11 player. Whereas for his own development, and he's like he probably forgets this. He's not developed yet. He's not the full complete footballer. He's still in the developmental stage of his career. He should have gone to Spain. Start every week at a top-ish table, like not a Barca or Real Madrid, but one of the like top 6 teams in Spain. Better weather, nice country to live in. Play every single week. Don't have the British media. Don't have dickheads like me on podcasts and Twitter slating him. Get out from the cauldron of the English football. Fucking caught, yeah. The frying pan of English football. Go away to Spain and develop and come back again, maybe, and then come back and attack it again. But do you see Sean? Do you see him starting for you, or do you see him getting to a stage where he starts, or do you view him more like as kind of a backup option / rotation option?
You see, this season, my opinion is both left wingers. None of them are like top class. So I think the two will probably between him and was probably going to play there as well. I think the two of them are like going to be very inconsistent. So I think they'll probably share out a lot of games. But like you said, I don't think that is what Garnacho needs this year. So I could see him maybe starting, suppose like we have Champions League, Premier League, probably start maybe 15 to 20 games this year max. And then I think the big issue with the Chelsea move, like you're saying there, is it's not only like he won't start every week, but I think Chelsea are different to a lot of clubs. If you're not starting week in, week out, and you're only there 6 months, it doesn't matter if you're there 6 months or 3 years, they'll cut you in the summer. If he's not consistent with us and doesn't break into the team and play week in, week out, and we got any bit of an offer for him next summer, Chelsea cut ties straight away. That's the kind of club that we are. So I just think if he doesn't get it right, it's a dangerous move. If he doesn't get it right this year, he's moved on again. People are going to see that he's been at two big English clubs. Obviously, United are the biggest he can come from then, and then he's had another crack at another big club in England, Chelsea, and it hasn't worked at either one of them. If that's the case, and I think it's staying on you. I think even with Sancho, obviously he fucked it at United, but I think some people, because it was United, and a lot of people don't like the club that are not United fans, they kind of do it to hold it against United, but they were giving him a second chance, somewhat. And when he came to Chelsea, a lot of people were hyping him up again. And when he fucked that, then I think then people realised that United fans were right about him, and it was only then that they admitted. So I think a lot of that can be the same with Sancho. I think or not Sancho, Garnacho. I think it's a fairly similar situation that he's in now. That Sancho found himself in last year. Obviously, I think he's a better footballer, but still, just the the off the field stuff and that, I think if he doesn't get it right this year, a lot of people will eventually see through it and admit to what he's that he's not worth the hassle, I think.
Yeah, the sad thing about Garnacho is, I think, and Keane will probably back me in this, when Garnacho came on the scene for us first, you kind of saw that. I know they're kind of an easy, lazy comparison to make with Ronaldo, but obviously he came on with like the same kind of charisma and the same kind of style, and he was kind of showing those kind of like early Ronaldo-esque kind of bits of talent and bits of ability, and you buy into it obviously because he's your player. He's after coming from the academy, and you obviously want to believe that he's going to become that level. And there was a stage, like when he was going through his purple patch, there was a stage where you kind of just took for granted, look, he's obviously going to be with us for a couple of years. He's going to light it up. He'll be off to Madrid in 4, 5, 6 years, and he'll follow a similar trajectory. But I think that's actually the problem with him, is that he also bought into that, and he believed that he was Ronaldo regen for the sake of argument. And the head went, and the fame and it all got to his head too much too fast. And he started being a little bitch and training, and obviously had the attitude problems where Bruno Fernandes had to pull him aside and say, look, pull your head out your arse and cop onto yourself a bit. Then he was having issues with the manager, and he was fucking fighting with this fella, and there's social media issues and Instagram posts and whatnot. And obviously towards the
Don't
end
get
of
me
it,
started on his brother, Brian.
do you know his brother's only about 16? This blew my
He's
mind.
an
I
absolute
thought his brother
dickhead. That's what he is.
You can't call a 16-year-old child a dickhead. Do you want to get cancelled? I thought his brother
don't
was
care.
older, right? I thought his brother was older. One of the boys pointed out to me during the summer, he was like, you know that Robert Cannaccio fella that gets all the hassle? I was like, yeah. You do realise he's like 15 or 16? I was like, well, no way, he can't be. Yeah, for fuck's sake. But like, even to again, right at the end of his time at United, he had that like Rashford Villa shirt on. Like, massive disrespect again. Like, if that's in you, if that petulance is in you, and a club like United can't get it out of you, that'd be my fear for him moving forward. Like, as you say, Chelsea are cutthroat. If he's acting like a little dickhead at Chelsea, they won't put up with it. He'll be out the gap as well. So I think he's, for his own career, he's in a very pivotal spot right now. And he needs to make sure that he plays his cards right going forward, and he digs deep, because if not, he runs the risk of going into obscurity and fucking himself up completely, like exactly as you said about Jadon Sancho, just becoming a bit of a journeyman, taking loans here and there and off the clubs and not realising his potential, which is sad to see for a football. Like, obviously he's wound me up leaving, but it's sad to see for a young kid with the world at his feet that he'd let it happen. Similar to Marcus Rashford again. Marcus Rashford tonight is finally getting a bit of redemption. Big hat trick against Newcastle, I think, the last time I checked. But like, he's gone through a massive stage where his head went as well. He lost the plot, and he started believing his hype, and it shows on the pitch so much when you buy into yourself so much that you are the talent, and you let it get to you. You're in trouble unless you're winning trophies and titles. And when Rashford's doing that at United in a time where we're not doing very well, it doesn't look well, and people turn against you. So again, I'm
Do you
glad
think
he
that's a
scored a hat trick.
cultural issue, Brian?
Bodes well.
Do you
I
think
think
that's a
it's a
cultural
dickhead.
issue because not just, let's say, Rashford, Sancho, Garnacho, but let's say in the last decade, let's isolate every other club for a second, just solely look at Man United. We've had turnover players really bad, but also players like that who, let's be honest, have quality, but for all different reasons, it hasn't worked out. Do you think, obviously it's on the players as well, but do you think, is there a deeper potential cultural issue at the club because of the way the Glazers have ran it, and so certain managers have been turned over in that time, that the players are starting to run amok and it gets to their heads as well?
I think there's a deep-rooted rot in the club where it became a club where it went from being a gigantic behemoth of football, and it started to fade away quite quickly after Ferguson left. And we saw the likes of like Di Maria, Alexis Sanchez, them boys coming in, viewing it simply as a meal ticket, just viewing it as a big wages club. We're going to come in here and collect. We're still coming to a big stature club, but they were literally coming for that, the profile of being a United player and the wages, as opposed to actually coming and digging deep and giving a bit of effort for the badge. So I think once things started to turn that way, over time it got worse, progressively worse. And then obviously in the modern era, in the modern age we live in, kids are becoming dickheads all over the world. I mean, even in my local town, like the young lads that are walking around the street are cheeky little fuckers. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, you put one of them lads who's gifted with his feet into the position these lads are in, give them a load of money. They're still a cheeky little shithead at the start of it. They're not going to be any different when they get the money, probably worse. So I think you are seeing that. And of course, obviously, look, the world lives on social media these days. Footballers are no different. So you're going to have footballers putting their foot in their mouth on social media and doing silly things. And especially if they're young lads, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, like they're still only kids for all the world. They're going to make mistakes. But if you compound mistake after mistake after mistake, I think it shows a track record of you being a dickhead. And I think we've collected multiple dickheads at the club, unfortunately, over time. There was a bit of a, remember that like Lingard, Rashford, Pogba era where they were all dancing around and fucking doing TikToks and all the rest of that shit, while we were absolutely brutal at football. Like, I always made the same comparison. Go back to when we were winning stuff all around you. I don't give a shit if Ryan Giggs did a spin on top of his head and fucking Wayne Rooney was dancing naked around the dressing room and helicoptering his Mickey around the place. Don't care. If we're winning games, winning trophies, do what you want. But if we're getting battered every week, lads, leave out the stupid dances and the silliness. Like, don't be drawing attention to yourselves like that. It doesn't bode well. It doesn't look well. And it allowed rival fans like Sean, and I'm sure everyone else, it gave them a yardstick to beat us with. It gave them something, fuel for their fire to go, look at these fucking idiots. Oh, they're useless and these lads are doing that. It looks so poor. It's a very poor representation of their club. So even back to a small thing again, I saw Wayne Rooney talking about it last week. Players, managers not wearing the club suit. Like, it starts at the very, very basics. Like, you have respect, you have pride for your club. Our club has always prided itself on being a little bit different, a little bit arrogant, a little bit whatever. And he was like, these lads are coming in wearing tracksuits as opposed to wearing your club suit. Like, it's not a massive thing, but these are the standards you set. If you set the standard that high and you aim for that high, well, you should finish somewhere around here. If your standards are down here, you're not going to get past it. So it starts at the top. It starts from the top of the club. Them Glazer bastards have destroyed the place. Ratcliffe has come in and he's gone gung-ho against the fan base. For as far as I can see, he's going after the fan base more than anything else. He's crucifying us price-wise, and the changes that he's making to the club, the changes he's made to ticketing, changes he's made to staff, personnel, redundancies. It's been a very, very grim 2 decades at United, unfortunately. But yeah, the culture is poor. And that's probably why Amorim is still there and probably still has a bit of faith from the board, is because he's trying to change that culture. And he has done a big clear out in the summer, which is something we've been crying out for a long time. So I think the only credit he has in the bank right now is he's not been there that long. He's got rid of a bunch of dickheads. That's kind of where his credit runs out. I haven't seen much more than that.
Yeah, I think his credit's running out like quite quickly. Like, if this was like Ollie, let's say, for example, he had the third place finish, the second place finish, and he was getting the semi-finals and a final, and he was playing decent football, his credit was in the bank going into season 3. You know, Jose won 2 trophies in his first season. He'll tell you 3, but it was actually 2, because unlike Arsenal fans, we don't count the Community Shield. You know, in that respect, Jose had a track record. He had credit in the bank. Louis van Gaal was a proven winner. He had credit in the bank. Now, I think Brian, you'll agree, and Sean watching United games, watching his matches was like falling asleep. It really was. In the Louis van Gaal era. We look at these managers who are at United, Solskjaer, you know, Mourinho and Van Gaal, in all different aspects, they all had credit in the bank because they were, I suppose, provided stability and they did okay in their, I suppose, initial time. Whereas I look at Amorim now, like, 7 league wins since November, like, that's fucking Burnley form. Do you know what I mean? Sheffield United form. You know, in that time, like, and I think that's where, look, I was willing to stick by him for so long, but his inability to change the way he's ostracized Kobbie Mainoo from the team, for me. And Sean, I want to get your take on this first of all, as a rival fan more than anything. What do you make of the lack of game time for a player like Kobbie Mainoo at Man United? Because when he burst onto the scene, he was great. He obviously had a great European Championships with England as well, getting them to the final. A lot of us would say he should be starting at Man United, but it seems like Ruben Amorim doesn't fancy him. And then when you consider our midfield options, it's mind-boggling, really.
Yeah, so obviously he's an unbelievable talent. Like you said, and he broke in. He's top class. Like, he's very talented. The only bit of, I suppose, leeway I'll give Amorim is he thought in that midfield too. Like, if he thought mine, it wasn't like athletic enough. Like, he kind of struggled, I suppose, when I was on it earlier on, when I was on about Amorim's midfield, I said the big issue with his midfield is he lets 2 players cover a lot of space. So they need to cover a lot of ground. They're not usually the greatest footballers like in the Lisbon teams that I had. The only leeway I give him is if he didn't think Moynihan would be able to cover those distances, and you have other players that can do it. But then that's completely taken away when you look at the comment you made about like the options that you do have there and that he is playing there. So it's like he's contradicting himself, I think personally, by playing Moynihan there, but then playing Bruno Fernandes there, who I don't think is a deeper midfielder or one that's going to be disciplined, like sitting back there. Like Bruno is gonna, like, he wears his heart in his sleeve. He's going to chase every ball. He's going to get dragged out of position in the deeper side of the midfield if you're playing in the two and the way Amorim sets up. So I just think if you're not playing Moynihan there, and that's the reason he's given not playing him there, then I don't think he can be playing another like forward thinking midfielder, or one that's not going to be disciplined there either. So it just completely negates the reason behind why he's not playing there. I just don't get it why he's not starting him then when with the options that you do have. And like Ugarte is not great. Casemiro, obviously, I still think he's decent. He just doesn't have the legs to be playing week in, week out in that system. But I just don't get why not giving Maynard more game time, because he's obviously extremely talented. I was hoping you were going to lose him there in the summer when all the rumours not started coming out. I was hoping, because I don't think Amorim is going to be there long term. So I was hoping that you might lose Maynard in the meantime before Amorim goes, so that he's gone by the time a new manager comes in and starts using him again, and obviously he can reach the heights that he looks like he can reach.
Yeah, 100%. Brian, what's your thoughts on this? Because we always talk about culture, and I suppose wanting academy players to break through. And then this is one of the academy players that's broken through in recent years. That looks like, for me, and there was an academy player previously that we knew had a really high ceiling, but he turned out to be a massive dickhead. But this, like, Kobbie Mainoo for me looks like a generational talent, and to see the lack of, I suppose, chances he's getting. I know there's systems, right? When you can't get a player into your team because of your system, the issue isn't the player for me. The issue is the system.
Yeah, I 110% see where you're coming from, but I'm going to slightly disagree with you. Kobbie Mainoo came on the scene and looked amazing for a while. He had a purple patch, and I'm looking at this, trying to look at this as pragmatically as I possibly can, without getting too hyped up about him. He was brilliant for a while. Then I thought he fell off. Then he had an injury. Then he fell off again, and he's coming back now. I know he had that lovely purple patch. He played well for us, got into the England team, but it was a short. Like, if you look at your case study on Kobbie Mainoo, it was a certain period of his career so far that he was really, really good in, but then he was very, very poor, and then he had an injury, and he was poor again. He hasn't been brilliant for quite a while now, so I don't think he's got a God-given right to get on the team. I don't think the academy aspect of it means he has to start by any means. Now, again, I'm not going specifically against you. I know where you're coming from, and I do agree with what you're saying to a sense, but I think he still think he has to earn his spot. This is probably one of those things that I think we've failed in over the last while. We've been giving players their spot. I mean, if Rashford was fit, he played, no matter how shit he was. He just for about 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons. No matter how bad he was, he started. You can't have that. You have to have competition for places. You have to have hunger. And I love the fact that Kobbie has to fight for it right now. But I didn't like the fact that he wanted to leave. Bit of fucking obscurity, bit of pressure on him, bit of fight for your place and earn it. A bit of, I want to see you a bit trimmer, lose a bit of timber, get a bit fitter. No, I want to move. I want a loan. No. Come on, Kobbie. You
Do you
turn around there
think?
and you go, come here. That's my fucking spot. I want it, and I'm going to take it back. Attitude.
I get that. I get where you're coming from with that. I think my thought process with this is, and look, I'm gonna take my Man United hat off here for a second, and I'm gonna put myself in his shoes. I think in a World Cup year where United are, I suppose, look, we're in a kind of half bad position, and the system isn't benefiting the player, and in terms of skill set, right? In terms of his skill set, he's much better in a back four system. Now, I get the part about adapting and fighting for your place, but when he's basically saying you're not, like, his competition is Bruno Fernandes, a player who's not naturally a number 8, And look, we all know it's undroppable at times, if not most of the time. In a World Cup year, maybe he had to be a slight bit selfish to look for that loan deal to get games to try to get to the World Cup because England are stacked in that position.
Yeah, I get you. And it kind of throws up two conversations here because you've got number one, you have the Cobby side of things, and you have number two, the Bruno side of things. So Bruno Fernandes should never be undroppable. There should be no player on the team undroppable. I don't give a shit who you are. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson dropped the biggest players in big games. He was able to do it. No, different time, of course. And I hate referring back to it all the time because you sound like a broken record. But top managers will drop big players if they're not performing. We haven't had the luxury of that, obviously, because we haven't had squad depth. But now we have a bit of squad depth. And it's, I suppose, maybe people are struggling to understand, not to understand, maybe people are struggling to accept the fact that we've gone from a situation where we had like a strong 11 and fuck all behind it. So now we have a relatively strong 11, but we also have a couple of lads on the bench that we didn't have that luxury of before that are pushing for places. And that, if you look at any top team, look at Chelsea. Chelsea have 17 strikers, 425 goalkeepers, and 600 midfielders. Surely 4 of them are going to be good. And they're going to push each other. Now, I'm taking the piss, obviously, but do you get where I'm coming from? You've got competition for places. You've got multiple players in positions that are all good, talented lads that can push each other. So, Cobby's side of things, yes. The World Cup year, I get, even though I can't stand international football, I couldn't give a fuck if he makes the England team or not. I focus solely on us, but I get from his point of view, and as you're saying, taking the United hat off, I can see where his personal side of things go. I want to play football. But do you want to just play football for a team? Or do you want to play football at Man United? Do you want to push for your place and earn it and become something in the history books with us? Or do you want to piss off and take an easy route and go off and play with Spurs or someone? Do you know what I mean? There's so many different variables and context to his situation. He is an unbelievably talented young fella with unbelievable ceiling. But it takes more than a little purple patch to guarantee you a place in the spot and in the side. So I like the fact he has to fight for it. Now, as you're on about Bruno Fernandes, he shouldn't be fighting with Bruno Fernandes. This is where the system is an issue because we're playing a midfield two. Yeah, we're playing a midfield two. You've got Casemiro pretty much vying for one spot and Bruno almost your mainstay in the other spot. Bruno hasn't been performing this season so far. I drop him. I've no problem saying I drop him. I drop him the weekend. I know he's been brilliant for us, but every dog has his day. He can't be a guaranteed starter every week if he's not playing. But this all comes back to the manager again. He still has to be flexible enough that if he wants to allow Cobby to fight for his place in the team, bring him in, but allow him to play in his fucking best position. Allow him to flourish. Don't pigeonhole him into a place like he's doing with Bruno. Don't just because you want to play this system, take players out of their natural environment where they can affect the game the most positively and just stick them where you want. It's like when we bought Mata, and this, of course, is reflective of a good Chelsea conversation. We destroyed Mata's career, for me, in the sense that Juan Mata came. I'll never forget the day we signed Juan Mata. I thought it was a piss take. I genuinely thought someone was winding me up. I said, how could we have signed Juan Mata? He's Chelsea's player of the year 2 seasons in a row, one of the best players in the Premier League. He's a fucking magician. He's unbelievable. There is no way we're signing him. And all of a sudden we did, and we fucked him out right wing. And he's about as much pace as myself, and I have 2 dodgy knees and a bad ankle. It was insane. Like, we took the player, the best man in the English Premier League, to pick apart the defence and stuck him on the wing. And now we're taking one of the best attacking midfielders and sticking him as a deep line player. Like, that's a Pogba role. It's not a Bruno Fernandes role. Bruno Fernandes doesn't have that, as you said, discipline earlier. He doesn't have that in him. He's unbelievable in the further positions. He's sometimes dreadful in the deeper positions. And the fact that you can see it and I can see it, and I'm sure Sean can see it, and Ruben Amorim can't see it, bothers me. Because if everyone else can see it and you can't, usually you're wrong. So he needs to I think he needs to turn around the weekend and go back a little bit more back to basics, settle down a small bit on this system shit, and just try to go out there and play, lads. Play a good compact unit, be hard to beat, go out and play a decent game, put in a decent effort, and go at Chelsea and fucking have a go. Don't go out there and roll over and not lay a glove on them like we did against City. And don't be easy to beat. Don't be easy to turn over. Be hard to beat and be a bit more fucking proud of who you play for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the way. Like, I'd be looking at it, like if you went back to basics and went into a midfield 3, and you went, let's say, Casemiro, Manu, and Bruno, and then like if you're in Buemo, Cunha wide, and then Sesko or Xerxes up front, from either interchangeable. I don't want to be too hard on Sesko either, because I was hard on Rasmus Højlund, but I'm seeing little signs maybe in his build-up and stuff in the game. I'm not liking it so far, but again, it's Groundhog Day when you're up front for Man United at the moment. Like Brian said, it's it's early days, but I'm a bit concerned. I was going to come to a couple of
Keane
comments before we kind of.
Keane, sorry, just to jump in for a second. Something I've been banging my drum about for fucking 18 months, 2 years. Is the problem for Rasmus Højlund and Benjamin Sesko the same problem? They're young, solo strikers at one of the biggest clubs in the world, if not the biggest, depending who you support, with no backup. You can't go into a club like that and not learn off anyone. These are two kids. Rasmus Højlund's a child. Benjamin Sesko's a child. You can't come in your key developmental stage as a footballer at 21, 22 years of age, where you're just starting to kind of fill out your frame, you're just starting to find your feet, you're showing what you're made of. But you need to be learning off someone. Like every decent striker has come through at a club where they've
To
learned
make
off
a
an
Chelsea
elder
comparison, Brian, Daniel Sturridge was learning off Drogba and Fernando Torres.
Yeah, exactly. Like go back to any striker we've had that's come through in the better times. They were fighting for their place. First of all, they were fighting for their place. They weren't guaranteed a spot. Second of all, they were learning off someone that's been there before. They had someone to hold their hand when they were in tough times. They had someone to bounce off and train. Like we needed for the last since Rasmus Højlund came in, we needed a Falcao, Cavani, Zlatan Ibrahimovic style elder statesman to come in, and an older players just played at a top level, coming towards the end of their career, that can fill a gap. That if Benjamin Sesko is injured, this lad can come in and take over. Zlatan, for the sake of it, comes in and take over. In training, he's looking at Zlatan and watching how he moves, how he trains, what he does, how his runs are like. You can't be the one inside and training. Who the fuck's Benjamin Sesko watching making runs in training and learning off of? Like he's looking at Cunha and Mbeumo, who are not strikers. He's looking at Bruno Fernandes, not a striker. He's not looking at other strikers. So I think he really, really needs, or we really need. And I'm in January. I thought we should have done it last January. This January, I think we need to get out there and find an older striker, bring him in on a 6-month, 18-month deal, and just give a young striker a chance to develop at a football club. Considering he's coming into the biggest fucking frying pan there is in football in English media, to Manchester United as a lone big money striker.
Ronaldo return part 2, Brian.
He can fuck right off.
Lewandowski's contract's up in the summer. Actually, won't be bad for a year, I suppose.
I'll take him. Yeah, Ronaldo can fuck right off. Didn't want him back the second time. Definitely don't want him back. No, scumbag.
I knew I could get that rod and just hook, line, and sinker. But yeah, like the striker situation. I think Sean, you had it with Nicholas Jackson, didn't you? Last 2 years, where he was probably struggling to adapt for a while, and kind of seen early stages of similar problems to Højlund at the time.
Yeah. The only difference is, look, I'm not gonna lie about my football club and that. Like, I do think Chelsea do get a lot of scrutiny, and the media do hate us, but it's a completely different level to United. I think Jackson gets that little bit more leeway, not small, but a bit more leeway than the likes of Højlund and Sesko that are going to get at United. Like, that's the only difference. He did improve. Like, it's obviously seen in what interest he got when we were selling him and how much we got for him. Well, obviously we haven't sold him yet, but the prices that have been mentioned, that he has improved and he's come on at Chelsea. But like, I just think between the media and the fans, I think you're going to get more leeway at Chelsea, and you're going to get more opportunities and more patience to improve. I just don't think you're going to get that at United when you're that age. I think Brian's point, I suppose, about the experienced striker coming in, I think it's spot on, to be honest. I'm actually surprised. I was thinking, I know you was Xerxes there. I'm surprised that you don't have that experienced striker, because thinking back over the years, like you said, Cavani and Zlatan and that, you've always kind of had that one forward that's there. And even now, the clubs that are operating at the top level, like Liverpool now, obviously they won the league last year. I hate to say it, like, and give them compliments, but like, they bought a striker this summer the exact same age as Sesko from the exact same league with the exact same experience, and still knew to go along later on. I know Isak is one of a kind and no one else is going to get him, but they still, like, taking his ability out of it, they still knew to go and get that experienced striker that's done it in the Premier League or at the top level, to play there, and he can learn from him and takes the pressure off him as well. Like, I think it's very easy to see. I just don't know how both United and like Chelsea the last few years now, I think we've done it a bit better this summer, and Pedro and Delap, we've the two options. But when we had Jackson the last few years, all the pressure was left on him. There was no older head there for him to learn off or take pressure off him or give him rest during the season. Like, all the pressure was on him, and he had his moments then, I suppose, with the red card against Newcastle, and then they won the Club World Cup, and then over the years you would have seen him getting slated for missing big opportunities in games. Just I think that just comes with the pressure, and I suppose getting tired playing week in, week out, and having like the weight of the number 9 shirt on his shoulders. Like, I don't think it's fair on the club to do that to him. I know people might think it's been soft on him because he's getting paid a fortune and that, but I think all strikers they'll need an extra man there as well for them to step out whenever they can and get their rest, because it's not only with strikers, it's not only physical tiredness. I don't think it's mental as well, because it's different. Like, if you're a centre half or a defensive mid, you can kind of get your steady games in, week out, and there's not much said. But if you're a striker and you're not scoring for 2 or 3 games, like, the media's on your back straight away. It's I think it's the hardest position to play. I just think they can get affected a lot by the media and by fans. I just think you get a lot more scrutiny playing up front, and it's not only the physical side of it then you gets affected, it's also the mental. So I definitely agree with Brian's point on that anyway, with the older striker needed there. Or just doesn't even have to be a really old guy, just someone that has plenty of experience and they've done it at the highest level. Like, if you're getting a 26, 27-year-old that's played like Champions League football for a good few years, I think it's more than enough. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm muted there. I was there talking shit when I was muted there, lad. Sorry. But yeah, like I was just saying there, like I said to you, Brian, earlier in the summer, and I said to you, Sean, on WhatsApp plenty of times, I wanted us to sign Ollie Watkins in the summer, because I felt like, he could have settled in for like 2 years, and then Chido Obi could have learned off him. That was the way I was kind of thinking, in the summer. But obviously we went out and got the younger striker, even though like that failed with Highland. I think, like, if you're a Man United striker, it's all well and good being the young striker. I feel like you're both right that a player needs to learn from him. But like, I think at the same time, like, that number 9 shirt, whether it's United or whether it's Chelsea or anyone in the Big Six cartel for the Newcastle fans out there, like, if you're playing at these big clubs, you're going to struggle with, especially like the scrutiny and I suppose the amount of games you have to play up front, and on a consistent basis that you have to do that. So yeah, look, it's like I said, it's Groundhog Day when you're a striker at Man United at the moment, because not only is it a pressurized situation, but then you're not really getting any service either to play in that position. But I was going to move on quickly then to Saturday, I suppose, Brian. Are you confident? I know we just got beat 3-0 at Man City, and I know you'd like to have hope and expectation going into a game, but like, Shane's in the comments here saying the stats are saying, and I know you love stats, so I'm going to bring this comment up now, so I love a good stat. It says the stats say Chelsea should lose Saturday away game last night in Champions League, and their record at Old Trafford is horrific. Do you believe in these omens, Brian, or are you a bit more pessimistic?
Excuse me. Do I believe in omens? Yes. I think my biggest hatred in stats comes down to XG and all these. Go away and get some X-mates for yourself, because anyone is, XG, Shane, for fuck's sake. You stitch me up here. Shane, come on, mate. XG, me bollocks.
he has the XG.
I hate giving out to someone like, but
I think I just
XG,
seen your
it's-
tweet before coming live as well.
I fuck, it does my head in, because I can't understand a statistic that's hypothetical. It's not based on fact. It's based on some AI algorithm, or I don't know what it is. But nah, Shane, I buy into the omens of Champions League games and haven't won at Old Trafford in a while. But leave the XG out of it, please. Am I confident?
Well, I seen it. I just had to bring it up.
You shafted me there, because you did a little double comment. You brought in the comment first, and you nailed me with XG once I said it. You snake. But look, back to the start of the podcast. I said, look, I wasn't overly confident. So if we can avoid defeat the weekend, that will sadly probably be a good result for us. We're kind of in that stage where we were under Ten Hag for a long time, of trying to get that springboard moment to kickstart your league, and this is a situation where we need to get that springboard moment immediately, because Amorim's under that much pressure that he needs to start turning things around really, really quickly. So it's Thursday night. I go for a 1-1 draw, and come 5:30 Saturday evening, when I'm inside and Stratford in lower with the rest of the lads, I'll be convinced of a 3-0 win. So that's the way life goes. But yeah, pragmatic 1-1 draw.
Pragmatic 1-1 draw after a few points of dark fruits, and Brian will be in the Stratford end lower, saying a 3-0 win. Is that right, Brian?
Yeah, expected points 12.
Oh, stop. Sean, how are you feeling? I know when we always talk about these games, you're always very pessimistic when it comes to this fixture. But the form guide would say you definitely should win this game in terms of like your form and the squad you have and the midfield you have, especially. Are you going back on past fixtures, or do you think you're going to get over that hump this Saturday?
I think we're going to go over it. There is points that I'm definitely pessimistic on. One is obviously the record at Old Trafford, and 2 and 3 are 2 new players that you have. Just last year and the year before, and Mbuemo and Cunha, like anytime we played against either of those, they've been unbelievable. I know we thumped Wolves away last year, but like Cunha, like he destroyed us in the first half an hour in that game. The year before, he got a hat trick against us, and Mbuemo's the same. He plays really well, so those 2 kind of worry me if Cunha's playing, obviously. The only reason though I'm optimistic is just from the City game last week, just the way Amorim sets up, run with the space kind of in behind midfield, and that just one thing Chelsea are very dangerous at is obviously the Caicedo and Enzo there in the field. The 2 of them are brilliant at just firing balls through the midfield into the half space is basically where Palmer's playing, and I think he came on against Brentford last week, and then last weekend, and then yesterday against Munich. He's looked the player that he was like last year, and that before he started getting the injuries and that. Like you can see this when he came on against Brentford, he was electric, and again against Munich during like last night, he was it's like players just can't get near him when he's running with the ball. So I just think those 2 pinging balls into him into the half spaces, if he's getting on the ball, I think United leave it open there under the setup. I think he'll do damage. So it's making me confident for the weekend for the first time in a while. Actually, I usually like you said, I'm pessimistic for this fixture. I'm going to go 2-1. Don't think we'll be brilliant. Like I don't think we ever play well at Old Trafford, but I think we'll have enough to get a win. All I want is the 3 points, because I've suffered enough not winning over the years and not being able to say it in the group chats. It's something like we got close there. I think we had a 1-1. It was under Tuchel actually, and I thought we had, like, it was the one game where we proper battered United and we couldn't get the winner. I think Ronaldo was at Old Trafford. Ronaldo got the equaliser.
Yeah, Ronaldo scored. It's a really good
There
goal
was
that
2-1.
year.
Yeah, there was 2-1 in the same year, but that time, yeah, I thought then that I was finally going to be able to speak on like that the Old Trafford curse and get that away, but couldn't. So hopefully it'll be this weekend, then we can finally speak about it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 2-1. Yeah.
I'm going to have to, because Brian went 1-0 and you went 2-1, I cannot not go Man United win. So I'm going to go 2-1 United with a Harry Maguire winner. Because I know, Sean, you actually like Maguire, so I have to throw in a Harry Maguire winner here for that one.
Yeah, no, I do, especially when they're playing with the 3. I think he's very solid in the middle of the 3 if he's playing. Hopefully he's not playing though, because I actually don't like him playing against Chelsea. Just over the years, like he is dangerous off set pieces, but the smaller things, like remember when he kicked Batshuayi and got away with it, the red card, and I just feel like he always has something in games against Chelsea where he either gets away with it or he has a big controversy that changes the run of the game.
He scored in that game as well, didn't he? When he kicked Batshuayi as well, didn't he?
It was either that one or there was another one where he basically wrestled Aspilicueta in the box and got away with the penalty shout. Remember that one? It was one of those 2 games he scored in. Just the 2 of them. I was like, it was definitely something like in WWE. He had arms wrapped around, got away with it, and then kicked obviously Batshuayi the next game as well. It was one of those, and he scored in. So
Batshuayi needed to kick up the hole, to be fair.
Oh, stop. Right. I'm going to go with that 2-1 then. And yeah, Harry Maguire winner, because just for the streets, I'll go Harry Maguire winner. And then Shane is saying 2 or 3-1 to Man United. He was saying Cunha and Sesko 2-3-1 United. I love the confidence, because it's not radiating from me and Brian here right now. But I want to end it on a fun note because we haven't had much fun for Man United fans this season. So obviously the 2008 Champions League final was an iconic game. Like there were two of the Premier League's best teams over a 4-year spell from 2006 to 2010. United and Chelsea had a lot of great battles, and obviously we got to the 2008 final, and it was a great game of football. But I want to kind of turn the screw here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask both of the boys out of our current squads we have now. Brian, if you had to pick a player from the Chelsea team of 2008 to come into this Man United squad to make a difference, who would you pick?
Oh, what a squad that was! I suppose, right. Let's look at this logistically. Where's our biggest problem area, and who could you bring in that would make a massive difference? So Didier Drogba would transform to the front line. Absolute animal. One of my favourite strikers, opposition strikers. He was an absolute beast. Peter Cech in goals. Onana's a bag of shit as well. So is Bayindir, but then Lamens could come in and be okay. So I suppose, look, we have to give him a chance. JT at the back, John Terry is an animal again for that spine. But I think it has to be Lampard, doesn't it? I mean, we're missing that midfield box to box engine. It's the biggest glaring hole in our side at the minute. So add a Frank Lampard in his prime into that side, and it's a different team. So yeah, I'll give it to Frank Lampard, as much as I massively dislike him.
Frank Lampard. Imagine, let's say we had a midfield three here, and we had a proper holding midfielder, and we had Lampard and Bruno. Imagine the goals we'd score. Jesus Christ. That would be absolutely unbelievable.
I think even though Lampard was amazing going forward, I still think he'd do a decent job just running up and down that box to box situation right now, because he had an engine in him. Like they always do the Lampard Scholes Gerrard thing, but it's Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard. Obviously, Lampard was way better than Gerrard. Gerrard was fucking overrated as can be, but stick Lampard into that United team right now. His engine, his desire, his effort, his obvious ability, what he can offer going forward. But he's also really good in that defensive side. I always thought he was anyway. I think if Frank Lampard in this current United team, makes a massive change to the team.
I think as the view people had on the media, and like obviously his weight and everything, I think people just thought he couldn't run, and like he wasn't fast, but he, like he said, he just serious engine. He used to get up and down that field all the time. Unbelievable engine on him.
Yeah. No, he was brilliant. I mean, obviously when he's not your player, you're going to give him shit and not rate him, because there's obviously that a bit of rivalry and stuff. But you can't not say Frank Lampard wasn't absolutely an incredible footballer. I think of that 2008 squad, it'd be between him and Drogba, I think, for me, because Drogba score goals on his own on a pitch. He's a fucking animal, absolute animal. So either of those two, but I go with Frank Lampard. Yeah.
Sean, who would be your inclusion then from 2008 United into current Chelsea?
Yeah, because he said it to me just before the show, and I was thinking, because obviously, like those two teams that day, like when you're looking back, like every so often, I might see like a screenshot on Twitter of like the sofa score when they brought the historic results back in. You can see the teams, like it was just unbelievable. United obviously some top players like Ronaldo and Rooney. Rooney's my favourite ever non-Chelsea Prem player. Like I actually do think he's the best Premier League player in history in that, and I would love him there. But I was just following the same logic as Brian, thinking of like what our big problem positions are. So like I know a lot of people complain about the keeper, and like I'd love to like replace him as well, but I think he's serviceable, and I think centre half is definitely our biggest issue at the moment. So even though I don't think he was the best player in that United squad, he was still unbelievable. I'd probably go with Vidic, I think. I know Rio's there. I do think Rio's better than Vidic, but I'm just thinking in terms of when Caldwell's back, I think Caldwell's like a wish version of Rio. I think he's a bit similar. He's good on the ball, and he can kind of do all that side of the game. And we're seriously lacking a defender that's like just hard as nails and is like strong, fast, can do all that side of the game. Like the rougher side, Caldwell's kind of fairly soft. So I think I'd go with Vidic to play that side of it then, and have him. We're definitely missing. I think it's the biggest hole in our squad, in what Vidic does and what he brings to the table. So I think he'd be the one I'd bring into the team. I think he shored up a lot at the back.
Man, he was unbelievable player, and it's mad as well. He got Premier League Player of the Year 2 years in a row, and not many people. Actually, no, not 2 years in a row, two separate years.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. Like probably a year or two ago, and we were on about we having like the centre half discussions in the chat, like Premier League, I probably criticised them a bit, and I wasn't fully gone them, but I went back like and just looked through a few things on him, and I just realised like some of the stuff that I wasn't aware of about him. Like you said, like the awards and that, and just like some of his performances and that, and he's unbelievable. I think I underrated him for years. It's only like the last kind of 6 months to a year I've gone back and looked at things, and he's unbelievable. He's a top centre half.
Yeah, he's leader as well. He was really good in that way. Brian robbed my one with Frank Lampard, so I think about like our other midfield issue in terms of like someone who can play kind of in a six. I know he played right back in the game, but it's going to be a complete
He's my favourite
cheat by
Chelsea
me
player.
here.
Yeah.
Michael Essien. I'm going to go Michael Essien in midfield. Imagine his power in midfield and his the way he can strike the ball and tackle.
Yeah.
He'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, he's my favourite Chelsea player ever. Just took a liking to him.
Nice class, but Essien probably fills that space that you're on about more so than Lampard does. But I just think Lampard could add so much to the side. I know why you're picking Essien, and I 100% agree with you. He probably is the more common sense gap filler that we need in the team, and he's an unbelievable footballer. But I just think Lampard could potentially do enough in that midfield to change us to be what we need to be. So I hate being this nice about Chelsea, because I honestly can't fucking stand Chelsea. Like, I absolutely despise Chelsea with every piece of my being. So trying to be nice to a footballer from Chelsea gives me a little bit of a sick feeling in my mouth. But there are the one or two players over times that I have watched from Chelsea that I've admired quite a bit.
Even
So
Shane says here, Brian, he says Michael Ballack.
Yeah, Ballack. I was thinking about Ballack,
yeah.
but again, as good as Ballack was, like, Lampard was streets ahead.
We have a question here, quiz question here. How many times did that 2008 Champions League final start together? Oh, geez, I don't know how many times that 11 played. Brian, do you have a clue? Because I was young at that age. I was 10. No, I was 12, wasn't it? It was 11. I was 11 at that final.
What are you trying to suggest here, or allude to, Keane, that you were young at that final? And are you trying to say that
you're a couple of years older than me, Brian, so you might remember.
You do realise that the consumption of alcohol I've consumed the last 20 odd years has burnt what brain cells I had in my head, so my memory's gone to pot. How many times did that specific 2008 Champions League final team starting 11 start for Man United? It's going to be single figures. If it's one of those weird questions, probably like they didn't, but I go single figures, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'll go 3. I'll go 3 times. Sean, what do you think?
I'm going to go once. Besides the final.
Once. Go on, hit us.
What's that?
I think this is John Silk, actually.
Yeah, so
John,
mine
hit
is
us with the
twice
answer.
then, obviously, yeah.
Right, hit us with the answer. He's live in the comments here now. Once. There you go. Once.
Owen Hargreaves, let me up on my soapbox. This is your moment. Screen grab this if you want to do it, or whatever you want to do. Owen fucking Hargreaves. I will absolutely fight this out with anybody on the planet. If Owen Hargreaves' passport was Canadian and not English, as it should have been because he was Canadian, he would have been nowhere near a club like Man United. He had a purple patch where he looked half decent. He had a catchy song about he's having long hair and whatnot. He was a fucking shambles. He was overrated. He wanted to go to City, and he's a cunt. And I can't stand him. And I absolutely turn my stomach every time I see him on television. So Owen Hargreaves, if you are listening, you can fuck right off as well. And I didn't think your hair was great. I didn't want to be like you. I'm happy to be bald. If I look like you're a grease ball head. Credit to me, he did have 1 or 2 big games, but what a dickhead.
Yeah, he was good, but he was no Michael Carrick. That's the way I look at it. He's no Michael Carrick in our midfield. His injury record killed us as well. He had like 1 good season, and then after that, then it fell asunder. But on that, we will wrap up there. Thanks very much to Brian and Sean for coming on. And Brian, do you have anything coming up on your podcast that you want to shout out?
No, just the usual weekly episode where we'll be dissecting and analysing another thrilling adventure at Old Trafford on the weekend. Myself and Dale are over. I think Fitzy's over as well, so it should be half a decent one. And as always, come here, Keane. Thanks so much for having me on. Enjoyed it, and great chatting with a normal Chelsea fan, dare I say it, someone that can have a respectable conversation without getting too bad. I mean, we can throw a few digs at each other, obviously, but no, it was enjoyable, Sean. Pleasure to meet you, and good crack. Hopefully we catch up again soon.
Yeah, you too. Definitely. Be a pleasure.
And thanks very much as well, Sean, for coming on as
Yeah.
well. Coming up next week, we'll be doing a show with Jamie McCoy. We're going to review the game, and then also we'll be obviously we'll be talking some nostalgic Man United times as well. So we're going to be reviewing old games and old starting 11s as well. So do check that out as well. It's going to be something a bit different, where it's going to be a bit nostalgic, because I think talking about current United hurts me more than anything. Like, for the life of me, I don't want to be doing it every week. So we're going to go back down memory lane next week. And obviously, do remember to obviously hit subscribe, and check us out on Spotify as well, where there'll be more Spotify exclusive content coming out as well. But until then, guys, thanks very much everyone for watching and listening, and we will see you later.